Howdy readers, I'm Jason. This is Chapter and Verse, and this is my first ever book haul. So the plan had been to make a single book haul for the entirety of 2018, but I have bought more books in the first 6 months of the year than I usually buy in an entire year. So I decided to go ahead and do a 6-month haul, and then I'll do a haul at the end of the year as well, which will likely be much smaller because I have promised my wife that I won't buy any more books apart from the 1 or 2 I buy in England here in a couple of weeks. But apart from that, I won't buy any more books until December. So I've got a stack of 4 books here, 3 of which are books that I bought because of Booktube, and one of which was sent to me by a fellow booktuber. And that book is this one right here. This is the Modern Library, 200 Best Novels in English Since 1950. And it was edited by Carmen Khalil, who, if I'm remembering correctly, was the judge on the Man International Booker panel some years back, who flipped out when the other judges on that panel decided to give the prize to Philip Roth. She was the lone dissenting voice, I believe, and she was a very vocal dissenting voice. But anyway, excuse the digression. Carmen Khalil and Colm Toybin. And this was sent to me, given to me by Robert from Barter Hordes. So thank you, Robert. Like Robert, I love lists, and that's what this is essentially. It's just a long list of the best novels since 1950, and with a kind of synopsis of each one and some trivia about each one. So, and then I bought this after seeing Neil Griffiths talk about it on his channel. And this is Secondhand Time, The Last of the Soviets by Svetlana Alexievich. I read her book, Voices from Chernobyl, a couple of years ago. It was mind-blowing. I'm really just quite fascinated with Russia to begin with. Russian films. I'm a big Andrei Tarkovsky fan. I felt like Voices from Chernobyl actually, I don't know, it was crazy. It's nonfiction, but there were these strange, weird kind of overlaps or echoes between that book and Tarkovsky's film Stalker. But anyway, Neil Griffiths on his channel had just tremendously good things to say about this book. It sounds like it really rearranged the furniture in his head, at least where Russia is concerned, and his thinking about Russia and the former Soviet Union. So that's this. And then I bought this for my wife, and we saw the latest book in this series on Steve Donahue's channel on one of his mail hauls. And this is Murder at the Brightwell. And it is the first novel in the Amory Ames mystery series by Ashley Weaver. Steve just had such great things to say about this series. And my wife and I both really just love a good mystery series. And I really love kind of Art Deco-y kind of period stuff that's a little tongue-in-cheek. But yeah, so I bought this for Kelly. I'll be reading it as well in all likelihood, but it's primarily for her. And this is another book that we saw. I think we saw the sequel to this on Steve Donahue's channel. And I think he had mentioned needing to go back and reread this one, that he felt like maybe he wasn't as fair to it as he could have been. Kelly and I were in a Barnes & Noble in Cheyenne a week or two after seeing that video of Steve's, and we saw this, and it's like, that's the first book in that trilogy or that series that Steve Donahue was talking about. So we decided to get it. I'll let you guys know what I think of it when I read it, which might not be for a very long time. The second stack of books that I've got here, 3 books, and these are novels that I have already read in the past but didn't own, and just have really wanted for quite some time. And I bought this with some of our income tax return money. This is The Gathering Night by Margaret Elphinstone. This is set in prehistory. 8,000 years ago is when it's set. It's set in Scotland. The Scotland of 8,000 years ago. It's a pretty mesmerizing book. It's so alien and so familiar at the same time. While I was reading it, I really thought Mel Gibson would be an ideal filmmaker for this project, given what he did with not just The Passion of the Christ, but more significantly what he did with Apocalypto. And if you haven't seen Apocalypto, see Apocalypto. I mean, that is a film that just plunges you into a world that is completely foreign and just shocking and sobering and surprising. And he pulls no punches. And I think that he could do really brilliant things with this novel. God, I still remember there was this beautiful scene in this book of the villagers, if we want to even call them villagers, transporting fire over water in their boats, and it was just lovely. I mean, it just popped in the imagination. I could just see it. It's a deeply, deeply cinematic book, this. And the next novel that I bought, that I had already read, is this, A Hologram for the King by Dave Eggers. And I bought this with a gift card that my parents got me for Christmas from Barnes & Noble. It's just a great novel. It was the second novel that I read by Dave Eggers. The first was What is the What in my book club some years ago. But this, so Tom Tykwer, the German filmmaker, directed a movie of this starring Tom Hanks. And I did not think we stood any chance of getting it here in Casper. But we did. And Kelly and I went to see it. And I loved it. I mean, I just absolutely loved it. And so on the way home from the movie, we stopped at the library. I went in, checked this out, and read it, started reading it that night, and just loved the book as much as I loved the film. And so I needed to own it. And then this just came in the mail today. So I won an eBay auction for a first edition, first printing of American Pastoral with the cover that I have long wanted in this book. I just thought this is the time, since he recently passed away, this is the time to get it, because, 5 years from now, these are going to be going for $100, $150, $200 on eBay, and I got this for $41. So, yes. The next little stack of books. This is all nonfiction, none of which I've read. One of them I have read snatches of, as I've been discussing with a couple of people in comments on my most recent video. This is Paul Among the People, the Apostle reinterpreted and reimagined in his own time by Sarah Rudin. If you're somebody who has long believed that homosexuality is condemned in the Bible as a sin, read this, and she'll explain to you why you're wrong about that. The next book is this biography of Alfred Lord Tennyson. This is Tennyson, To Strive, to Seek, to Find by John Batchelor. Now, when I was in grad school, I read a lot of Tennyson, and at the time, there had not been a serious biography of Tennyson published for donkey's years, for quite a long time. So every couple of years, I would check BarnesandNoble.com to see if there was another biography, and nothing. Every couple of years, I would check, and there was nothing on the horizon. And a few weeks ago, I commented on a Steve Donahue video in which he was talking about biographies, and asked him if he could pick the brains of people he knew, find out if there was anybody out there in academia working on a Tennyson biography. And lo and behold, the next day I checked BarnesandNoble.com, and this was published just a few years back. So super excited. And isn't that beautiful? That is just a gorgeous book. That's just a gorgeous book. The next nonfiction, this is Tim Winton's memoir, Island Home. Tim Winton, as many of you know, is one of the great novelists in the world, arguably Australia's finest novelist, and he is one of my very favorite writers. I've taught his work. I just revere him to the skies. I hope to meet him one day. But anyway, Island Home, Tim Winton. And this one here is it's a kind of strange. It's a kind of strange history / biography of a particular time in Sylvia Plath's life. I think maybe situating her in the culture that she was living in. But this is called Pain, Parties, Work. Sylvia Plath in New York, summer 1953, by Elizabeth Winder. It's a beautiful, beautiful cover. I've got quite a substantial collection of books about Sylvia Plath, which you guys will see on a future shelf tour. And then there is The History of the Book in 100 Books. And this was given to me by my in-laws for my birthday. And it's just a cool coffee table book about books. So, book from the first English printer. But yeah, the development of serial publishing, using graphs to convey information, practical censorship at work. Talking 16th century stuff there. All right, in the last little pile, these are novels that I have not yet read. So this is Fire from Heaven by Mary Renault. This was a finalist for the Lost Man Booker Prize a few years ago. I won't go into what that was or how that was determined, how it was judged, but that was a pretty cool little project. And this was a finalist for that prize. It's the first in a trilogy about Alexander the Great. And this is a book I've been wanting to read for quite some time. The next book is Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. And this is the novel that I'm going to be reading with my other book club, The Holy Fools of Shepherd, next month. Madison from Reading Wayfarer is going to be reading this along with us. So, James Baldwin, Go Tell It on the Mountain. And then we've got Sometimes a Great Notion by Ken Kesey. We read this in a class that I took in grad school, and this was the one book that semester for that class I just didn't have time to get to. I read like the first 15 pages of it, was just blown away by the first 15 pages, just marveling at the language and the control Kesey seemed to have over the place and the characterization and just the tone of the whole thing. So I've been wanting to read this for forever and ever, and now I have it. So I'll be getting to that before too long. And then we've got Booktube's own As a God Might Be from Neil Griffiths. I first heard about this book right when it came out. It was reviewed in The Guardian, and the review was quite good, quite favorable. And I was just deeply intrigued. And then I got on to Booktube, and come to find out Neil Griffiths had a Booktube channel. And just got hooked on his channel as well. So I'm going to be meeting him here in just a matter of days, really, and I can't wait. Just absolutely can't wait for that. So, As a God Might Be, one of our own. And then lastly, Peter Carey's new novel, A Long Way From Home. This is getting great buzz. Carey, along with Winton, he's just an Australian fiction king. And yeah, he is maybe, in my opinion, maybe the world's greatest living novelist. So some of these writers, man, they just hold such spots in my heart. But this is getting tremendous buzz, and it'd be really cool if Carey was a finalist for the Booker Prize again. If him and Tim Winton both were, because Tim Winton's got a new novel out this year as well, so that would be freaking awesome. But I'm going to be seeing Peter Carey speak in London here shortly as well, so anyway, that was my first ever book haul. It was tons of fun talking about books as usual. If any of you have read any of these and have thoughts about them, please let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. I'm just humbled by the fact that, yeah, you guys have let me be part of this community. So I will talk to you all again very soon.